you from Houston?
Yes, sir.
How long you been living in Houston?
I've been living in Houston my whole life. Just moved to the city though a year ago.
Well, you was just living on the outskirts?
Yeah, suburbs.
What part?
Cyprus.
That's currently where I'm at
Oh yeah.
now. Yeah.
I had my house right there in Stonegate.
What made you want to move to the downtown or the city part?
So I've had my house for 13 years.
Okay.
And I guess I just wanted to explore what city life was, so I sold my house.
Are you single, bachelor?
I am in a relationship.
In a relationship. Gotcha. Any kids?
No kids.
What you do for work?
I am a manager, finance director for a car dealership.
What car dealership?
It's in Spring. It's called the Next Car.
The Next Car.
Yes, sir.
Is it similar to like Car Max and Car Auto?
Yeah, it's a independently owned, so it's not like a franchise.
Yes, sir. How long you been doing that for?
I've been doing that for 15 years.
Is that something you gonna retire in?
Probably. I mean, it's been paying well since I was 15 years old. So
you've been doing this since you was 15?
Yeah, I sold cars for 2 years. So I started when I was 15. I sold cars till I was 17. Became manager at 17, and been managing since then.
Wow. What's the most amount of money you ever made in a year?
I think it was 2018. I think I made about 340.
340,000.
340,000.
Back in 2018.
Yeah.
And
my mistake, it was after Hurricane Harvey.
It was after Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah, that was a big year for the car business.
Why did it flourish after the hurricane?
I can't remember the exact amount, but it was, I don't know how many millions of cars flooded in Houston.
Yes, sir.
So everybody and their mom was looking for a car.
Well, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, so we were working 7 days a week, about 15 hours a day for about 4 or 5 months.
Just selling cars.
Selling cars.
Left and right.
I think out of those 340, probably made about 200 in those 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
The rest was during the year.
What's the secret to sales in the car business?
Not be scared and just have a good mouthpiece on you. Honestly, that's anytime I train a salesperson or I hire a new person, I always tell them I don't have much to really train you on. It's just
really just being in the field, like getting the experience, right?
I got in when I was 15, so I had no experience, and I killed it in my first 2 years. I guess, like I said, there's not really an experience you can have other than don't be scared. If you're scared, customer senses it, and you won't ever sell a car.
Yeah, it's like a panic feel that they probably feel.
And the customers feel it. Honestly,
yes, sir.
People say, "Oh no, you don't." No, a customer knows when you're scared. When you're trying to sell them something, but you're scared to sell it to them.
Yes, sir.
Then when you have a shitload of confidence.
It's like a ick, it's like, oh, okay, I don't want to buy from this person no more.
Exactly. And then the biggest thing, honestly, that I tell people is people buy from people they like. So if they like you, they will buy from you.
Very true.
And I've always said that, like myself. I mean, I've been in a car business and I've never bought from myself, which I could. Technically, I could just go to an auction, buy my car, and get my own bank to finance it. But I always like being the customer, right, and getting the full experience and negotiating. And when I bought my Corvette, I wasn't even looking for a car, but I really liked the salesperson.
Yes, sir.
And even though I gave him hell for 8 hours,
yes, sir.
I ended up buying the car from him. But I wasn't even looking for a car. I mean, I was just kind of window shopping for a new SUV.
Yes, sir.
And I ended up leaving in a Corvette that I didn't really need.
What model was it? Was it the C8?
No, it was a C7. It was a few years. I still have it.
Oh, you still have it?
Still have it.
Z06?
No, C51.
Z51?
Red exterior, black interior.
Oh, okay. Nice. How important is sales whenever you start in a business or you a business owner? How important is it?
So I also have an insurance company.
Oh.
So I think sales is a big part of my life. And always will be. I'm currently trying to open up a new business. So sales will always be in my life, I think, until the day I die. It's just, I think I've just gotten so, not to say it like that, but just so good at it that it's something that I want to keep doing. I don't think I would change my business. I wouldn't change my profession for anything.
So going back to earlier, what you said, you say you started selling cars at 15? So did you drop out of high school?
I dropped out when I was 14.
You dropped out of high school
so
at 14?
I didn't really go to high school. I went straight to, I was 8th grade, went to high school for maybe like a week or two.
Wow.
My parents bought me a Challenger, so I was a little spoiled kid. They bought me a Challenger for a week before I turned 15 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I decided to just, I was also in like a charter school. So I didn't really go to like a high school, so they never knew if I was at school or not. So I was actually working already. They thought I was in school. So then finally they called my mom after like 2 weeks of me not going to school,
Yes, sir.
and she was like, "Do you like school?" I was like, "Nope." I was, "I already have a job at a car business, mom. I'm making like $700 a week at this age. I feel great." So I mean, I was 15 years old making what 7, 14, 23 grand a month.
Like, what made you not want to go to school no more? Was it something like you just know like school wasn't for you?
I started working and when I was 12 years old at CC's Pizza. They hired me really young, but I always looked older. I mean, I'm Hispanic, have a beard, so they always thought I was older. So I got hired when I was 12, about to be 13. I did that for a year and a half, um, and then I just knew that I always liked money. I mean, I would honestly skip like if somebody would call in the morning shift. I was 13 years old and I wouldn't go to school. I wouldn't go to middle school, but I would go to work.
Wow.
And I have somebody pick me up from the corner instead of going to school. I'll just go to work, and then I'll get home, and then I'll just pretend like I went to school until my mom started finding out. And she knew. I mean, we went to court for those last 2 years because I wasn't going to school. I was rather going to work. So my mom said, "You know what? I mean, I will gladly sign you out of high school. I mean, if you don't want to do it, you don't even want to try it, then figure it out." And shit, at 17, I was already making 80 grand. By 18, I was making 100 grand.
Wow.
And I've been making 100K ever since 18. 100 plus.
100 plus K ever since 18.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, like that's kind of big because like most parents would be like mad at their kid or just like
They were mad because I mean, my other brothers graduated and stuff like that, and I'm the only one that decided not to. So my parents were like, "Well, he's either gonna end up, in construction or, working at the restaurants because that's where he's at right now." But as soon as I dropped out, I said, "I'm not gonna work at a restaurant." I found an ad back then. It was Craigslist.
Yes, sir.
There used to be ads on Craigslist, and funny story is I lied my way into this position. I told them that they were looking for a collection rep.
Yes, sir.
And I walked in there and they were like, "Hey, I mean, do you know anything about collections?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah. My family, they own a car business and I do the collections for them." And my aunt, she actually worked for a dealership. And I was like, I was like, tell me what your job description is." Like in 15 minutes, she told me what her job description was. So basically, I used everything she told me.
Yes, sir.
At my interview, and I got hired. And the thing is, honestly, you can only lie your way so much.
Yes, sir.
I did okay doing collections, but I was not doing what they expected. So the finance manager walked into the office one day. He's like, "Dude, you're so good on the phone, but you're too nice." He's like, "Collections needs aggressiveness. They need someone to be an asshole, someone to, you're calling to collect. You're too nice. You're calling like, 'Hey, do you have a payment?' No? Okay, thank you. Well, I'll call you back tomorrow." So he says, "Why don't you come and try sales? We need help actually on the sales floor."
Yes, sir.
So I was like, "Okay, I'll try sales." And my first week, I sold like 4 or 5 cars. So then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna take you out of collections and we're gonna put you in sales."
So it was just naturally in you to be a salesman.
It was naturally in me, yeah.
Okay, so you say your brother went to school, right?
Yes.
So he graduated high school and went to college?
Yes.
And you didn't do no school?
I didn't do none of that.
And you more successful than him?
They have their own trucking companies.
Oh, okay.
So they do trucking, which is what my dad does for business too. So they all stayed in the same family business, what they love to do or what they wanted to do.
Right.
I just didn't see myself working in the sun, working as a truck driver.
Yes, sir.
I was like, no, I want to be in an office. I want to have the office, the desk. And I've been doing it, like I said, since I was 14, 15.
What advice could you give to the young people out there? Like myself, I'm 25, and even the people that's younger, that's going to college or in high school, finna get ready and graduate, but they don't want to go to college.
I don't like ever telling someone not to go to college, but in my case, I didn't go to college, and I can gladly say that I'm making over 200K a year. I have a lot of employees of mine that they didn't go to high school, they didn't go to college, and they're making over 100K a year. So, I mean, you don't have to necessarily, but you do have to pick a good profession. So you can't just drop out and expect to, go make this much money at a clothing store, et cetera, et cetera. But, I mean, do something that you really love, and, I mean, just put your heart out to it.
And how big is it to have God in your life?
Man, you really couldn't do anything without God, in my perspective. I mean, God is first, and I feel like, if it wasn't for God, I don't think I would, God has saved me from a lot of things. I mean, including in my personal life. Um, so I think, always put God first and never put him second. The moment you put him second, I promise you, he'll put you second.
Yes, sir. And one last question. What's the most challenging thing you faced in your life, whether it was in business or personal?
This one would take me hours to explain, but I'm gonna
All
sum
right,
it up
okay,
in
sum
two
it up.
minutes. I'm gonna sum it up in two
Okay,
minutes.
okay.
Losing everything you have from 1 second to the next, going from my best year making 340 to losing everything, having zero. And this might sound braggish. No, only having 50K in your account, but your monthly expenses being 15, 20K a month, and laying down in your bed, pointing a gun to your head, and about to pull the trigger. But again, God sent somebody to the rescue to get me out of my room, get me out of my house, um, and yeah, save me from potentially committing suicide.
Wow. What a story. Well, thank you,
That's a very
Ak.
long story, but it summed it up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. I really appreciate you letting me interview you.